Hello. So today we have lesson 106, and lesson 106 is found on page 696 in your books. The objectives are of course posted on the board. Really wordy today, but that doesn't mean that we have a ton of them, and it's really not that complex. We're just kind of adding to something that we've learned previously. It says, use words to name decimal numbers to the 10,000ths. We've done them so far to the thousandths. Now we'll take care of the next place value. The 10,000ths. Next objective, compare and order decimal numbers through 10,000ths. So we'll get numbers like 0 and 1/10. We'll get numbers like 0 and 1,000th. And then we'll have another number 0 and 1/10,000th. And that's kind of what we're learning today. We will then order these from least to greatest. Of course, 1/10,000th is the smallest. 1,000th would, of course, be a little bit bigger than that. And then 1/10th would be the largest number in this set of three numbers. Next objective, we have round decimal numbers through 10,000ths to the nearest whole numbers. So, basically what we have, we've rounded the number 9 to the nearest 10. You know that it's a 9, so it rounds up to 10, not down to 0. We have the number 984. If we want to round to the nearest 10, we look at this 4. It tells us to round down to 980. Okay? If this number were a 5, or a number bigger than a 5, let's go with 6, that would tell us to round up to 990. Again, we're rounding to the nearest 10. We can round to the nearest 100. We can now round to the nearest 1,000th. Today, we'll have numbers. Let's go with 3 and 5,032 10,000ths. All we're doing today is rounding this number to the nearest whole number. So again, the number directly to the left of the decimal place. You really don't have to worry much about this. Again, you're looking at the 10th place anyway. If that 10th place is 5 or higher, you round up to 4. If it's 4 or lower, you round down to 3, which of course this number is not. So we round up to the whole number 4. Okay, and finally it says write decimal numbers. Write decimal numbers through 10,000ths as fractions. And that's again very similar to what we've done. I'm going to use the number we already have. And I'm going to use 0 and 5,032 10,000ths. So again, you write 5,032. What place value does it represent? It represents the 10,000ths place. So this is this as a fraction. And we'll see if we have to reduce those fractions. I can't imagine we'd have to reduce this fraction right now. But we could, because we see that both numbers are even, and we can start from there. But for now, we're not worried about that. We'll see what they do in the lesson. Okay, the new concept on the bottom of page 696. As we move to the right on the following chart, we see that each place is 1/10 of the value of the place to its left. Okay, they have a big chart. Let's see if you can't see this. Hopefully you have your own, but you probably can't. Basically all it is they have a hundredths place, they have a tens place, a ones place, and then they go to the right of the decimal, understanding that if you multiply by 10, you increase the place value. Okay, 1 times 10 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. As you go to the left, you multiply by 10. As you go to the right, you divide by 10. Okay, 1/10 is 1/10 of 1. Let's go another 10. If we divide by 10, we get 100th. 100th is 1/10 of 10. If you multiply 100th by 10, you get 1/10. If you multiply 1/10 by 10, you get 1. Okay? Again, multiplying by 10 as you go to the left, dividing by 10 as you go to the right. Now, example number 1 says, use words to name 12 and 625 thousandths. I guess I sort of read it correctly, I think. So, I'm going to write the number 12, 6, 2, 5. And this is example number 1. If you don't have room for this one, feel free to write it just on the back side of your YouTube sheets. First of all, again, we start with whole numbers. Okay, the whole number is 12. So you're writing the word 12. The decimal point is represented with the word and. 12 and. Okay, now we take care of this number and 625. Okay, remembering that this ty here, we need to have a hyphen in between 20 and 5. Okay, 12 and 625. The final thing we put is the place value. This is in the thousandths place. So 12 and 625 thousandths. Okay, remembering that it's thousandths. And that's your answer for example number 1. Pause it, rewind it if you need to finish that up. Okay, example number 2. Example number 2 says round 7 and 345 thousandths to the nearest whole number. Okay, this is something that we've dealt with already. We've already seen numbers like this. They just haven't been to the thousandths place. Maybe they've been to the hundredths, maybe just the tenths. But again, like I've said before, the tenth place is the one that rounds to the nearest hundredth anyway. If it's 5 or higher, we round up. If it's 4 or lower, we round down. Okay, so do I round down to 7 or up to 8? Well, 3 is, of course, less than 5. So your answer for example 2 is 7. Okay, turning the page to 698, we have example 3. Example 3, we're comparing two numbers. Okay, example 3, I'm comparing 4 and 5/10 with 4 and 456 thousandths. Alright, I have a 4 in the ones place, a 4 in the ones place. So I can't determine which number is bigger or smaller by that. Of course, I have a decimal point, which represents no value. And then I have a 5, and I also have a 4. Okay, so 4 and 5/10 is greater than 4 and 456 thousandths. Remembering that if I wanted to, I could add 2 zeros here without changing the value. Okay, these are understood to be there. They don't affect the value of the number. Okay, this is just a simplified number. So again, we see that 4 and 5/10 or 4 and 500 thousandths is of course greater than 4 and 456 thousandths. Okay, example number 4. Arrange these decimal numbers in order from least to greatest. I have 45 hundredths, 457 thousandths, and 5/10. Okay, it said from least to greatest. So if I see a big number, I'm going to place it on the right. Smaller numbers will go on the left. Alright. The smallest number, let's look at tenths place because none of them have any value in the ones place or no whole numbers. Okay, I have a 4, and a 5. That tells me that 5/10 is the biggest number. I'm going to put it on the right side. It's the biggest number that I have, and that one's taken care of. Okay, now I need to determine which number is smaller, 45 hundredths or 457 thousandths. The next number is a 5. Can't tell which one's bigger by the hundredths place. I have to move to the thousandths place. A 7 is of course bigger than no value at all. So 0 and 457 thousandths is greater than 0 and 45 hundredths. So my numbers from least to greatest should look like this. And that is example number 4. Okay, example number 5. Example number 5 says, write 457 thousandths as a fraction, then name both numbers. Okay, so I have the number 457. It said, write this number as a fraction for example number 5. Basically, all we have to do is take this number, put it over its place value of 1,000. Okay, and then of course you'd get rid of the decimal point and the 0. This is written as 457 thousandths. Now they said to name the number. Okay, so this is part 1 of example 5. if we wanted to name the number, we would of course write 457. Again, making sure that we put a hyphen here. Okay, 457, what place value is it in? Thousandths. Okay, 457 thousandths. And that tells us, not only the, there we go. That tells us not only the name of the fraction, but it tells us the name as the decimal too. Okay, 0 and 457 thousandths. 457 thousandths, 457 thousandths. You only have to write that down once. You don't have to write it down twice. Okay, this names both the decimal and the fraction. We'll have a few practice problems that we'll cover tomorrow. Feel free to rewind or write all this stuff down if you need to. Make sure you bring it to me tomorrow so I can check it out. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow.